Hello. Today I'm going to be using the freebie from the newsletter. Please, if you've got the newsletter, you'll probably have the kit already. If you've got the newsletter, please do check it out, especially the beginning of the newsletter, the notes at the beginning from us, and also the section on the website, because there's been some changes which hopefully will solve hours of issues for us every time we do put out a freebie. And hopefully it will make things a lot easier for you guys as well. So this will be the first freebie in the 2024 tab. I know it's not yet 2024, but we're going to start using it immediately because hopefully it's going to make things much more smooth. So today's freebie is a scrap envelope stack. And I have already cut my envelopes up, folded them and inked them. I've also inked one of the back, little pieces at the back, so just to speed things up a little bit. So we have the large envelope is a paper scrap envelope. The medium sized one is a fabric scrap envelope, and the small one is a lace scrap envelope. To go with that, there are also 3 pages. There is a paper scrap collage, a fabric scrap collage, and a lace scrap collage. Now you can use these for all sorts of things, but I'm going to use them in a certain way today. Now, would you believe it has been an absolutely glorious sunny day, and the light has been really good in here until now, and it looks like the sun has just gone in. Sorry about the shadows, it's all natural lighting today. I might just turn the light on actually. So we've still got a bit of shadow, apologise for that. Now, the paper scrap sheet is the largest one. I'm going to grab my trimmer, okay, and I have, this is in inches. My first piece I'm going to cut 7 by 5 1/4, and that's the paper scrap piece. So I'm going to trim this and cut this down to size. I'll speed it up for you. Those are the little pieces I've got left. So this one needs to be folded. You want to fold it along the long edge. So it will be something like that. This is my fabric scrap, and I need that 6 by 4 1/2. And I need to fold that again along the long edge. I might have to do a little bit of trimming to this at some point. And the lace one, the smallest one, I need to do 5 1/2 by 4, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to need to trim this again later. These measurements will only work if you have printed the pages at 100%. If you haven't printed the pages at 100%, you will need to measure the size of the internal section of your envelope, and then you double that. Only for the length, you double that, and then you would need to measure the height. And then you've got your 3 pieces all cut and ready to go. Just going to use my bone folder to just, I'm still got remnants of glitter around. We have some lovely scraps ready for another project or anything you feel like using them. Now, these are the pieces again in the kit. I have cut them, inked them, and I have folded them in half like so. So they've all got a piece. That's my son sneezing. Right, I'm going to glue mine down. If you wanted to make them more sturdy, you could put a little piece of cardstock inside. I think it's going to be fine as it is. Now, if there are any really obvious pieces that you need to trim, you can do that now. I've got a little piece here. And then I am going to ink all of these just around. Grab my large envelope and the large piece we've got. Now, I think this is the piece that I like the most, so I'm gonna have that at the back. Now, I've got a couple of ideas for these stacked envelopes. The first being the little, we're gonna trim this down, but this is kind of the notebook tab that's gonna hold our notebook together. We could stitch this to our envelope. Okay, so that could be sewn onto our envelope, and then our little scrap pad could be the top of the envelope, which means the envelope itself can then be used for various other things. Now, that does mean you're going to be covering up that envelope completely with the scrap pad. The reason I've made these backing pieces is because for this envelope, I'm actually going to put it inside. I'm going to put the little scrap pad inside the envelope. So you need to decide if you want to sew, if you want to leave it as it is. Because I'm working on this one first, I'm going to grab my little black whatchamacallit, and I'm going to glue that straight onto the front of my envelope. And I'm just going to decide, I think I'm going to sew. I'm going to sew my envelope. So I'm going to sew all the way round here. But what I'm going to do first, because I'm going to sew them all together. So this is my scrap fabric envelope. That's the top because that's the bit I've inked. So I'm going to grab my scrap fabric label and glue that on. And this one is the scrap lace, and I'm putting them all in that bottom right hand side because that's, I think, where I want them to go. So the scrap pads, let's take a little look at these for a moment. So I've got my little pads. I'm going to cut them down to size. So I'm just going to trim this little extra piece off, and the others are actually pretty good. They're good. So it's just that one we needed to trim. Now this one, like I said, we might need to trim the actual piece, and it is very slightly too big. So I'm just going to take a little sliver off here with my trimmer and re-ink that, which means I am going to have to trim the little top piece. I hope you're not finding this too complicated. I just had a few options of how to put it together, so I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do. Now at the top of here, so that's my scrap lace. I'm going to glue the little label, the other label that says scrap lace. I'm going to glue those to the top of each of these pieces. Okay. That took me rather a long time. I had to sew on the floor. Long story. And that one I've done upside down, haven't I? Fabulous. That means I just have to ink this flap a little bit. I'm just going to glue along those flaps. Make sure I've not got any glue on the inside there. And a little bit of glue here. So that is envelope number 1, all done. And I'll do the same for the others. So our envelopes are all done. Now we're going to put our little pads together. So I'm going to start with my scrap paper, and that's nice and easy to do, isn't it? Just grabbed the first few things that came from my scrap paper box. Now some of this came from the lovely Taperology packaging, which is amazing. Some of it's a little bit bigger. Let's start with this piece, I think. I'm going to use a ruler, nice and easy. Tear that off. Tear that off. That's obviously upside down, but that's fine. Let's use the bottom piece of this guest check. It actually fits pretty perfectly on here. I'm just going to use that as the bottom. But I'm using the bottom because I like that piece there. So we've got that, and then we've got, actually I'm going to make that a little bit shorter again. So a piece of plain. Got a piece of ledger. Got some of this lovely handmade paper again from Taperology. So I'm going to have something like so. Now what I'm going to do is turn it upside down, turn this over, and the next piece I'm going to just add a little bit of glue to the top there, turn that back and add that, and I'm just going to go through all of my pieces in this way so they're in the right place when I put my notebook together. Doesn't need to be a lot of glue because I've started stitching now, so I'm going to be sewing a little bit of this. So there we've got some scrap papers. So I'm going to run a little stitch across here. And there's my little scrap paper pad. Quite happy with that. Now, for the layering, you could pop this into your envelope, or you could leave it on the top. And I'll make a decision when I've finished all of them. So next on to the fabric. So what have I got? I've got a few little scraps of fabric here. When I say a few, I don't know why I actually pulled out so many, but let's do a very similar thing. Okay, so I'm going something like this. Now with this one, I'm actually going to try my very best to line this up at the top without gluing, because for this I just want to rely on some sewing. So just get that as lined up as close to the top as I possibly can. I'm going to trim that a little bit. Add the top on there. Now I'm going to just take this very carefully to my sewing machine. So that's our cute little fabric scrap pad for the little scrap fabric envelope. And finally, the little lace, scrap lace. I'm going to fill up this. Now I haven't got quite as much lace because I know this is quite, oh, that, look at that. That's a perfect fit. Let me just let the cat out. So that's going to go perfectly on there. And just cut. Oh dear. I don't know what that was. I don't know if I actually want to know what that was. So we'll have a little piece of that and then a little piece of that. Pretty even in size those are. Let's have a little piece of this. We've got a little dark piece here, and this is actually some of the mesh kind of stuff that came from Tapeology. I'm not sure if it's actually lace, but I'm going to include that. And then I'm just going to trim off a little piece of that. And I think that's going to be good enough. I think that's going to be thick enough for the lace. So I'm going to do the same again. Hold this in place. We've got a little bit of an overhang here. I'm going to have to turn that the other way round because that's a flatter edge. You could pop clips on here if you want to be more accurate. I'm just going to run this through my machine. Okay, there we go. Now, because the lace has obviously a little bit more holes, has a few more holes, I've actually done 2 rows of stitching on the lace pad, but there we go. There we've got some little scraps of lace. So if you could just trim off little pieces as you needed them, send it as happy mail, fabulous. And if you are taking part in the little bits of lace, there is a little bits of label on there as well, so you'll be able to use that. Sorry cat, you're not having anything. Right, so now it's just a case of, this is a stackable set. We've actually got a long piece of, go on then. Go on. Got this little piece I'm going to use probably to hold these together. So let's have a look. If they are stacked up like that, they do look rather lovely, don't they? Let's see what they look like in the actual envelopes. Actually want them that way, which makes the pad upside down, but that's all right, isn't it? And I think the little lace scraps one I might have on top. Let's just pop it in. Let's just pop it in the envelope. So there we go, our little envelope stack of scraps. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy the freebie. So thank you so much for all of the support we've received this year. It has been phenomenal. With things as difficult as they have been, we have managed to make it through, and that is all down to the support we've received. So thank you so much. We will continue to do everything we can to support other people throughout 2024. We will provide freebies, we will provide YouTube tutorials. We really sincerely hope we can continue to provide the Foxy rag. There is more information on that in the newsletter. So that's the little video for the scrap envelope stack, and I will see you all in the new year. Take care. Much love to you all. Bye.